Start by understanding what hierarchical clustering actually means. Hierarchical clustering is a method of cluster analysis that seeks to build a hierarchy of clusters. Imagine you have a set of data points, and you want to group them based on their similarities. Hierarchical clustering does this by either starting with each data point as its own cluster and merging them step by step, or by starting with all data points in one cluster and splitting them apart. This approach is widely used in data analysis, especially when you want to visualize relationships between data points in a tree-like structure called a dendrogram. It's a foundational technique in unsupervised machine learning. So why do analysts and data scientists turn to hierarchical clustering? One of the main reasons is its ability to reveal the underlying structure of data without needing to specify the number of clusters in advance. This flexibility is particularly useful when you're exploring new datasets and don't have prior knowledge about how many groups might exist. Hierarchical clustering also provides a visual representation of the data's relationships, making it easier to interpret and communicate findings. It's especially handy in fields like biology, marketing, and social sciences where understanding natural groupings is key. Hierarchical clustering comes in two main flavors, agglomerative and divisive. Agglomerative clustering is the most common approach. It starts with each data point as its own cluster and then merges the closest pair step by step until all points are in a single cluster. Divisive clustering, on the other hand, works in reverse. It begins with all data points in one big cluster and splits them apart recursively. Both methods build a hierarchy, but they approach the problem from opposite directions. Understanding these two strategies helps you choose the right method for your data and analysis goals. Let's dive deeper into agglomerative clustering. This method starts by treating each data point as its own cluster. At each step, it finds the two clusters that are closest together and merges them. This process repeats until all points are grouped into a single cluster. The result is a tree-like structure that shows how clusters are formed at each stage. Agglomerative clustering is popular because it's intuitive and easy to visualize. It's especially useful when you want to see how small groups combine into larger ones as the clustering progresses. Now let's look at divisive clustering. Unlike agglomerative clustering, divisive clustering starts with all data points in a single cluster. At each step, it splits the cluster into smaller groups based on their differences. This process continues until each data point stands alone. Divisive clustering is less commonly used, but it can be powerful when you want to break down a large, complex group into its individual components. It's particularly helpful when you suspect that your data contains one big cluster with hidden subgroups. Key output of hierarchical clustering is the dendrogram. This is a tree-like diagram that shows how clusters are merged or split at each step. The vertical axis represents the distance or dissimilarity between clusters, while the horizontal axis lists the data points. By looking at the dendrogram, you can decide where to cut the tree to form clusters. It's a powerful visualization tool that helps you understand the relationships in your data and choose the right number of clusters for your analysis. Let's walk through how hierarchical clustering actually works in practice. First, you calculate the distance between every pair of data points. Then, depending on the method, you either merge the closest clusters agglomerative or split the largest cluster divisive. At each step, you update the distances and repeat the process. This continues until you reach the desired number of clusters or until all points are merged or separated. The process is systematic and ensures that similar points are grouped together based on their features. Crucial part of hierarchical clustering is how you measure the distance between data points. Common distance metrics include Euclidean distance, Manhattan distance, and cosine similarity. The choice of metric can significantly affect the results as it determines which points are considered close or far apart. For example, Euclidean distance measures straight line distance, while Manhattan distance sums the absolute differences. Selecting the right metric depends on your data and the problem you're trying to solve. Another important concept is linkage criteria. This determines how the distance between clusters is calculated during the merging or splitting process. Common linkage methods include single linkage, complete linkage, average linkage, and Ward's method. Each method has its own way of defining the distance between clusters, which can lead to different clustering results. Understanding linkage criteria helps you fine-tune your clustering and get more meaningful groups from your data. Single linkage, also known as the nearest neighbor method, defines the distance between two clusters as the shortest distance between any pair of points in the two clusters. This method can result in long chain-like clusters, especially if there are outliers in the data. While it's simple and easy to compute, single linkage can sometimes produce less compact clusters, so it's important to consider your data's structure when choosing this method. Complete linkage, or the farthest neighbor method, measures the distance between two clusters as the greatest distance between any pair of points in the two clusters. This approach tends to create more compact and spherical clusters, as it considers the worst-case scenario. It's less sensitive to outliers than single linkage, but it can sometimes split natural clusters if there are distant points. Complete linkage is a good choice when you want well-separated, tight clusters. Average linkage calculates the distance between two clusters as the average distance between all pairs of points in the two clusters. This method strikes a balance between single and complete linkage, often producing clusters that are neither too elongated nor too compact. Average linkage is a popular choice for many applications because it tends to create clusters that reflect the overall structure of the data. Ward's method is a linkage criterion that minimizes the total within cluster variance. At each step, it merges the pair of clusters that leads to the smallest increase in total variance. This approach often results in clusters that are similar in size and shape, making it a favorite for many data scientists. Ward's method is especially useful when you want to ensure that your clusters are as homogeneous as possible. Visualization is a key part of hierarchical clustering. By plotting the dendrogram, you can see how clusters are formed and decide where to cut the tree to get meaningful groups. Visualizations help you interpret the results and communicate your findings to others. Tools like Python's SciPy and R's hclust make it easy to generate dendrograms and explore your data visually. Once you have your dendrogram, the next step is to decide where to cut it to form clusters. Cutting the dendrogram at different heights gives you different numbers of clusters. The choice depends on your analysis goals and the structure of your data. Sometimes you might use statistical criteria or visual inspection to pick the best cut. This flexibility is one of the strengths of hierarchical clustering. Hierarchical clustering offers several advantages. It doesn't require you to specify the number of clusters in advance, making it ideal for exploratory analysis. The method produces a hierarchy, which can reveal relationships between clusters at different levels. It's also deterministic, meaning you'll get the same results every time you run it on the same data. These features make hierarchical clustering a powerful tool for many applications. Despite its strengths, hierarchical clustering has some limitations. It can be computationally intensive, especially with large datasets, because it requires calculating and updating distances at every step. The results can also be sensitive to noise and outliers, which may lead to misleading clusters. Additionally, once a merge or split is made, it can't be undone, so early mistakes can affect the final outcome. Being aware of these limitations helps you use hierarchical clustering more effectively. Hierarchical clustering is best suited for situations where you want to explore the structure of your data without making assumptions about the number of clusters. It's ideal for small to medium-sized datasets, and for problems where understanding relationships between groups is important. Common applications include gene expression analysis, market segmentation, and document classification. If your data is large or contains a lot of noise, you might consider other clustering methods. It's helpful to compare hierarchical clustering with other methods like k-means. Unlike hierarchical clustering, k-means requires you to specify the number of clusters in advance. K-means is generally faster and better suited for large datasets, but it doesn't provide a hierarchy or reveal relationship between clusters. Each method has its strengths, and the best choice depends on your data and analysis goal. Hierarchical clustering is widely used in biology, especially for analyzing gene expression data. By grouping genes with similar expression patterns, researchers can identify biological pathways and understand how genes interact. The dendrogram helps visualize these relationships, making it easier to spot patterns and draw meaningful conclusions. This approach has been instrumental in advancing our understanding of genetics and disease. Marketing, hierarchical clustering helps segment customers based on their behaviors and preferences. By grouping similar customers, businesses can tailor their marketing strategies and offer personalized experiences. The hierarchical approach allows marketers to explore different levels of segmentation, from broad groups to more specific niches. This leads to more effective campaigns and better customer engagement. Hierarchical clustering is also used in document classification. By analyzing the similarity between documents, you can group them into categories or topics. This is especially useful for organizing large collections of articles, emails, or research papers. The hierarchical structure makes it easy to navigate from broad topics to more specific subtopics, improving information retrieval and management. In computer vision, hierarchical clustering can be used for image segmentation. By grouping pixels with similar colors or textures, you can divide an image into meaningful regions. This technique is valuable for tasks like object detection, medical imaging, and photo editing. The hierarchical approach allows for flexible segmentation at different levels of detail, depending on the application. Hierarchical clustering is useful in social network analysis for identifying communities or groups within a network. By analyzing the connections between individuals, you can uncover hidden structures and understand how people interact. This information is valuable for studying social dynamics, spreading information, and detecting influential members within a network. In using hierarchical clustering, it's important to choose the right parameters, such as the distance metric and linkage method. These choices can have a big impact on your results. Experimenting with different settings and visualizing the dendrogram can help you find the best configuration for your data. Don't be afraid to try multiple approaches to see which one gives the most meaningful clusters. For applying hierarchical clustering, it's often a good idea to scale your data. Features with larger ranges can dominate the distance calculations, leading to biased clusters. Standardizing or normalizing your data ensures that all features contribute equally to the clustering process. This step is especially important when your data includes variables with different units or scales. Outliers can have a big impact on hierarchical clustering results. Since the method relies on distance calculations, extreme values can distort the clusters and lead to misleading groupings. It's important to identify and handle outliers before clustering, either by removing them or using robust distance metrics. This helps ensure that your clusters reflect the true structure of your data. Hierarchical clustering can be slow with large datasets because it requires many distance calculations. To speed things up, you can use sampling, dimensionality reduction, or approximate algorithms. These techniques help make hierarchical clustering feasible for bigger datasets without sacrificing too much accuracy. Always balance speed and precision based on your analysis needs. There are many software tools available for hierarchical clustering. Popular options include Python's SciPy library, R's hclust function, and commercial platforms like MATLAB and SPSS. These tools provide built-in functions for distance calculation, linkage methods, and dendrogram visualization. Choosing the right tool depends on your workflow and familiarity with programming languages. Let's look at a practical example using customer data. Suppose you have information about customers' purchase history, age, and location. By applying hierarchical clustering, you can group customers with similar behaviors and preferences. The dendrogram helps you visualize these groups and decide how many segments to target with your marketing efforts. This approach leads to more effective and personalized strategies. Gene expression analysis. Hierarchical clustering groups genes with similar expression patterns across samples. This helps researchers identify genes that may be involved in the same biological processes or diseases. The dendrogram provides a clear visualization of these relationships, making it easier to interpret complex genetic data and generate new hypotheses for further study. Suppose you have a large collection of news articles. Hierarchical clustering can group articles on similar topics, making it easier to organize and search your database. The hierarchical structure allows you to browse from broad topics to specific subtopics, improving the user experience and helping you discover new connections between articles. Image segmentation. Hierarchical clustering groups pixels with similar properties such as color or texture. This divides the image into meaningful regions which can be used for object detection or medical diagnosis. The hierarchical approach allows for flexible segmentation, so you can adjust the level of detail based on your needs. After clustering, it's important to evaluate the quality of your results. Common evaluation methods include silhouette analysis, cophonetic correlation, and visual inspection of the dendrogram. These techniques help you assess whether your clusters are meaningful and well separated. Good evaluation ensures that your analysis leads to actionable insights. Silhouette analysis is a popular method for evaluating clustering quality. It measures how similar each data point is to its own cluster compared to other clusters. A high silhouette score indicates that points are well matched to their cluster and poorly matched to neighboring clusters. This helps you determine if your clustering is effective or if you need to adjust your parameters. Cophonetic correlation measures how faithfully the dendrogram preserves the pairwise distances between data points. A high cophonetic correlation means that the hierarchical clustering accurately reflects the original data structure. This metric is useful for comparing different linkage methods and ensuring that your dendrogram provides a true representation of your data. To improve the quality of your clusters, consider pre-processing your data, removing noise, and experimenting with different distance metrics and linkage methods. Visualizing your results and evaluating them with metrics like silhouette score can guide you toward better clustering. Iterative refinement is key to getting the most meaningful groups from your data. Some common pitfalls in hierarchical clustering include ignoring data scaling, overlooking outliers, and choosing inappropriate distance metrics. These mistakes can lead to poor clustering results and misinterpretation of your data. Always take the time to prepare your data and carefully select your parameters to avoid these issues. To get the most out of hierarchical clustering, follow best practices like scaling your data, handling outliers, and experimenting with different parameters. Use visualizations to interpret your results and validate your clusters with appropriate metrics. Staying systematic and thorough ensures that your analysis is accurate and actionable. Let's recap what we've learned about hierarchical clustering. It's a flexible visual method for grouping data without needing to specify the number of clusters in advance. The choice of distance metric and linkage method can greatly affect your results, so experiment and evaluate carefully. Hierarchical clustering is widely used in many fields from biology to marketing and is a valuable tool for exploratory data analysis. If you want to learn more about hierarchical clustering, check out resources like textbooks on machine learning, online tutorials, and documentation for tools like SciPy and R. Exploring real-world datasets and practicing with different parameters will deepen your understanding and help you master this powerful technique. Here's a quick glossary of key terms: hierarchical clustering, dendrogram, agglomerative, divisive, distance metric, linkage, silhouette analysis, and cophonetic correlation. Understanding these terms will help you navigate the literature and communicate your findings more effectively. Hierarchical clustering has made a real impact in fields like healthcare, marketing, and social sciences. By uncovering hidden patterns and relationships, it helps organizations make better decisions and gain deeper insights from their data. Its versatility and interpretability make it a go-to method for many analysts and researchers. To succeed with hierarchical clustering, always start by understanding your data and defining your analysis goals. Prepare your data carefully, choose appropriate parameters, and use visualizations to guide your decisions. Continuous learning and experimentation will help you get the most value from this technique. Hierarchical clustering is a powerful and flexible tool for exploring and understanding data. Its ability to reveal relationships and create visual representations makes it invaluable for many applications. By mastering the basics and applying best practices, you can unlock new insights and make more informed decisions with your data.